Good afternoon, everyone. I see folks are joining. I want to welcome you all to our webinar, Ask a Recruiter. While you're coming in the chat, just let us know your name and where you're coming from, and we'll start in a couple of minutes. But I just want to give everyone a chance to join in the room. But welcome everyone to our webinar. Hello, hello. Right, I see some folks from Florida. I see some folks from Texas, Pennsylvania. Welcome. Again, to those that are joining, feel free to say hello in the chat box. Let us know where you're coming from. And we'll get started in about a minute.
Shout out to Tom from Tombstone, Arizona. That's such a fun town to go visit.
Hi, Tom. Massachusetts, I see California, Arizona. Welcome. Oh, I see some, well, I'll give a shout out too. I see someone from Chesapeake, Virginia. That is my hometown. So welcome to you. I think that's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Let's see Michigan, Kentucky. Welcome. All right, we're going to get started again. As people join, you can still state your name, state where you're from. This event will be recorded. So if you're unable to stay for the entire time, we'll be sending the recording out to everyone who's registered. But I want to welcome you all to our webinar, which is Ask a Recruiter. My name is Andrea Wilson. I work in our HR department, and I will be your host and moderator for today. Before we start things, I just want to give some housekeeping rules for the webinar today. Any questions that you have regarding status updates to application, if you've already applied, or any questions regarding salary, you'll need to connect with your recruiter. Please send an email to recruiting@k12.com, and we'll be putting that in the chat just as folks come in the room later on. But we just wanted to give that as a start, because we won't be able to give status updates during the webinar, but you can feel free to email at recruiting@k12.com. And also, we will be having a Q&A session later on in the webinar. So feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box. You should see that in your, either at the bottom of your screen or at the top. It'll say Q&A, so you can put those questions in there. And once we get to our question and answer session, we will read those and have some of our recruiters to answer those for you. All right, I want to introduce you to our panelists that we have today. These are some of our recruiters that I work with in our HR department. Before I give my spiel, I would just like them to just state their name and how long they've been with Stride. And I'll start with Robin, and we'll go across the board from there. So just hop on, state your name and how long you've been with Stride.
Hey everyone, I'm Robin. Thanks so much for joining us today. I've actually been affiliated with Stride for 17 years. I started as a teacher, and then I managed other teachers, and now I'm a recruiter and I get to give people jobs.
Ramneek, if you want to hop on.
Hi everyone, my name is Ramneek. I've been with the company for over 2 years, and I'm enjoying every bit of it, and I'm supporting our corporate recruiting departments are such as human resources, legal, CRE, finance, accounting, etc.
Hi there, I'm Susan, and I have been with Stride K-12 for almost 5 years, and I started here as a teacher as well at Texas Online Preparatory School, and I recruit for schools in Michigan, Arkansas, and Virginia, here from my home in Austin, Texas. All right, take it away, Colleen.
Thanks, Susan. Colleen, I've been with Stride for almost 7 years now. I'm also an academic recruiter, and some of the schools that I'm responsible for would include Indiana, Alabama, Wisconsin, Idaho, and Missouri, and I reside in upstate New York. Sheila?
Awesome. Hi, I'm Sheila Martin. I've been with Stride for 1 year. I also work in the corporate talent team, and I recruit for academic administrators, trainers, and all things corporate, including technical requisitions.
Thank you so much, ladies. And again, you'll be hearing from them after I just give a spiel on who Stride is. If this is your first time that you've ever come to one of our events, you're seeing our name is Stride, but if you've come to something before and you've seen our name is K-12, we've recently changed our name this year. K-12 has been around for over 20 years now. We're the leading provider of online education for grades K through 12. The reason we switched our name to Stride was because we realized that the learning doesn't end after senior year, and that we're trying to instill lifelong learning. So we've acquired some companies such as Galvanize, Tech Elevator, Hack Reactor, MedCerts, and these are some career development companies. They help with coding. We have MedCerts that helps with like IT certification as well as medical certification. And so we wanted to make sure that we include not just from elementary to high school, but we also make sure we're talking about college and after college, so career development as well. So that's why we have changed our name to Stride. Now, if you do go onto our site and you are applying for positions, you will still see the branding of K-12. That's what our schools will fall under, that umbrella, but Stride is our new name. And to just add to that, again, we are want to help learners of all ages to reach their full potential through inspired teaching and personalized learning. To show you just who we serve, this is just a chart to break down the different K-12 schools. We have public schools. We also have private, Keystone and George Washington University. We also help with school districts. As far as college and career prep, we have our destinations career academies. And then, like I said earlier, we have our career and corporate development, and those are our for companies that we acquired. So these are the sectors that we help and serve. So I have a few slides just to tell you a little about those corporate companies that we've acquired. Again, with Galvanize, they do help with the tech community, and they again do science boot camps as well as software engineering. So I wanted to give you all just a little synopsis on that. And we do have, we'll put in the chat later on the link. So if you are interested in those particular positions there, you can go on to those sites. Again, the other two are Hack Reactor and Tech Elevator. They also help with coding. They have coding boot camps that they do, but we do have positions that are available there. And then MedCerts, which is, again, they offer certifications for healthcare, IT, and professional development. So I wanted to ask a few of our recruiters before we talk about how it works here at Stride, just what brought you to the company. And I'll start with Colleen. I know she said you've been with us. I think out of everyone, I think you've been here the longest, but I wanted to start with Colleen, and then I'll ask Sheila how her first year has been here with Stride as well.
Thanks, Drea. I wish I had a cool story of what brought me to Stride, but it just actually happened to know that I knew somebody who was interested in bringing me on. So it was kind of through a referral. And I will be honest, I didn't know much about the company when I started, but I've learned a lot starting as a coordinator here and working my way up to the in the recruiting department. But I've loved every minute of it and love what we do and what our passion and mission is here as a company.
Thanks, Colleen. And Sheila, I know that you started your first year. How has your first year been with Stride, and what brought you to our company?
You know, I came to Stride as a homeschooling mom with a master's in HR, and they had an opening for recruiting, and I had heard of the organization. Several of my sorority sisters were teachers and told me it was a great organization to work for, but they didn't have any background as a recruiter. So, you know, as I interviewed and things like that, I was thinking just about, especially during COVID, how essential it is to be able to have options for remote learning and how that is so instrumental, especially for people who, if not homeschooling or, you know, want a different alternative. So I felt like that would be a really great place for me to really use my talent and skill set here at Stride. And, you know, being remote, having a remote organization and being able to be remote from an HR standpoint, it's been fantastic. So I love it.
Thank you, Sheila. And I'll also ask our recruiters a little bit later on, but I still want to get to our tips and just hear about the application process and how that works. So I will have Ramneek to talk to us about the application process, and then we'll also go into tips that applicants can use when they're going through the application process as well. So, Ramneek. You're on mute. No problem.
Thanks, Drea.
No problem.
So if you're interested in a position, please go visit our website. That is www.stridelearning.com/careers. The address is right there. Go there, go under teaching and academic positions or corporate, whatever role that you're searching for, click on that and it will bring up a lot of different positions that we have currently open. You may want to create an account or just submit your application just by clicking apply. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so once you apply, we, myself and everybody else, we are recruiters, we get a chance to look at your resume and we review that. And the candidates, they qualify for the position, we do forward the resume to the hiring manager, so they get to review it. And after the resume is reviewed by the hiring manager and they express interest, we invite you to complete two things. It could be a HireVue Live, which is a digital interview. We ask you to complete that, and then we set up a formal interview after that. Sometimes the teachers are asked to complete a recorded video, and that comes to us, and then we invite you to for an actual interview. So that's pretty much the process in terms of how to apply and how to go about learning about different positions within Stride.
Thank you, Ramneek. Now, one question that I know we typically get for those that that they've applied already, when you're reviewing, how long does that typically take? And that may be different for the different ones. So if another recruiter wants to hop on to answer that, but in general, how long does it typically take to review applications?
You know, it actually depends on the position itself and how many people have applied to the role. So there's times maybe we'll get 15 or 20 people they apply. It's a very quick process. There's times we'll have 300 plus applicants. It takes a little time to review all those applicants and get back to them. So it just depends. That's for me. And I don't know about others, what your thoughts are on that.
I should also say, I think that's often a loaded question when we receive it, because they're asking, when am I going to hear back? And we as recruiters may have instantaneously reviewed it and pushed them to the next step. But the hiring manager is another question, and they may have an entirely different timeline. Their timeline could be weeks. And unfortunately, I've had experiences where the hiring manager is taking months to review applications and return and give not even feedback, but let us know then what's going on with that requisition. And people have spent quite a bit of time applying to it and wondering what's happening with it. But maybe saying weeks is a safe bet for most.
Thank you. I just want to answer that because I know a lot of times we'll get that question, and just want to let applicants know that there are other factors that can play a part. So just know with our recruiters, they're not ignoring you. Again, they have other positions that they're also looking at and fulfilling. I know right now we have over 400 positions that are open on our website. So they have quite a few people that they are reviewing. So we just want to make sure we dispel that myth that, I applied, no one said anything, but again, they have to deal with the hiring manager and what their timeline is as well, but they try to make sure that they're reaching out to the candidates when they can. Again, to those that may have joined later, any questions regarding your status on your application or salary questions, please send an email to recruiting@k12.com, since we won't be able to answer each person's status during the webinar, but I just want to reiterate that to those that may have joined a little bit later. So after we've talked about the application process, I know we wanted to give just some tips to those that are applying and how they can be more visible. So I'm going to ask Robin just to share some tips that she has for those that are joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so as Remnick and Susan were talking, it kind of depends on a lot on how many people apply to the positions, and we do have positions that hundreds of people to apply to. So just kind of put yourself in the recruiter's shoes, and I realize that it's in your best interest to make it really easy for us to tell if you're qualified for the position or not. So on your resume, make it really obvious, like if you're a teacher and you're certified to teach high school math in Michigan, put that at the top of your resume. Don't have us searching and hunting and looking for those keywords that we need to see. Have your resume updated. A lot of times I'll see resumes that have a date of 2017 on them. Make sure you have an updated resume with your current contact information. When you create a profile and apply with us, please be sure to use a personal email address, not your current work email address. Sometimes people leave their jobs. If you leave your job, you're not going to have access to any of the messages that we're sending you, trying to get in contact with you. So use your personal email address. We cannot change your email address once it's attached to your application or your profile. You have to actually create a whole new profile. So please use a personal email address to apply. If you're in the process of moving, which happens in the summertime a lot, it's in your best interest to put your new address on your application and your resume, so there's no confusion as to where you're a resident. Most of our teaching positions require that you live in the state where you teach. So I've had people that answer my, if I have a screening question, are you a resident of South Carolina or will be a resident of South Carolina by July 15th, and they'll put yes, but their address still says that they live in Hawaii. I'm gonna have to take the time to email them and ask them, are you moving or what's going on? Why am I getting conflicting information? So just make things easy for us so we don't have to dig for the information. If you're a teacher, include your teaching certificate on your profile. Just upload a copy of it, a picture of it, real easy. Make sure your teaching certificate is current. If it has expired, we can't consider you for the job. So make sure you renew your certificate when you need to renew it, and make sure that you have your current certificate on your profile. Makes things a lot easier and quicker for us. Particularly if you've recently gotten married, please make sure to change your name on your teaching certificate, and make sure that, like, sometimes we have to look them up on a state website. So if we have one last name and your certificate is under a different last name, that makes it really difficult for us. So that's just kind of a hint to you. Make sure you're checking your spam and your junk email folders. I've had several situations where I wanted someone to complete a video interview for us, and the link gets sent through email, and the email went to their spam folder. So they never even saw the link, never even knew that they were invited to complete this video interview. So keep an eye on your spam folder as well as your inbox. Did I go over all these things? I think I went in the wrong order, but I think I touched all of them.
No, I think you did cover 'em. One thing I was going to ask about the certifications that sometimes we'll get questions about. Let's say that they're in the process of finishing up their certification. Should they put that in their resume or the application process to
Definitely.
notify you?
Definitely. Again, put it at the top of your resume so we know, so we aren't wondering. A lot of people, especially this time of year when they're moving to a new state, they've applied to the new state to move their teaching certificate to that new state. We need to know that information. If you just got done with student teaching and you've applied to get your first teaching certificate, so you don't have the certificate yet, but it's in the process of coming to you, basically, put that at the top of your resume. So that just put yourself in our shoes when you're applying and think about what's going to make it easy for us to know that, yes, this person is qualified and I want to move them to the next step.
So I guess the overarching theme would be oversharing. Give as much information that you can to the recruiter, so when they're searching, they have as much information to move you forward. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
So as we talk about the application process, we wanted to share just insight and tips on the HireVue portion. So after you've applied, they looked over information, they ask you to move forward, and you get an invitation for HireVue. So I want to ask Susan to give us some more background on the HireVue, the on-demand, and just explain what that looks like.
All right, so after the academic recruiter or corporate recruiter, but speaking for myself, academic recruiter has verified your certification and that you meet the minimum requirements to fill that position in that state, we would move you on to a digital interview. And so you would receive a preliminary email from us that gives you directions on how to complete the HireVue. Now, without reading everything on the screen here, your best bet is to not use your cell phone. I get quite a few emails from people who have tried to do this on their cell phone, and it does not always work so well. So I would suggest moving to a laptop or desktop if you have that available. Of course, if cell phone is it for you, then cell phone is it. Also, that you will need to complete it in a way where you can't be interrupted, because you cannot perpetually redo the HireVue. Once you submit it, and we can't change it. So just give yourself the best situation in completing that HireVue. Oh, and then this last one here, I do like that, where it says to be yourself. That's ultimately what the hiring managers, especially school principals, are looking for is, yes, you know your job and how to do your job, but are you someone that is going to have a great relationship with families and that kids are going to connect with, and that you'll be a part of a team that everyone wants to go to PD with. All right, so make sure that you are yourself and you're not some teacher bot. All right, so you can move on to the next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's for you, Andrea. Did you want?
I combined it into one on.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, well then I can tell you what I thought was on the next slide. So for teachers, you'll receive then, so you've gotten your first email that says, be ready, you're going to get a teacher interview. And it's a very involved email that tells you to be prepared to complete a lesson. Now, it goes through all these directions for how to write a lesson plan to K-12 standards. You will never turn in that lesson plan. Okay, so please don't email afterwards with your full written lesson plan. We'll forward it to the hiring manager, but it's not something you needed to do. Okay, we'll never see it. What you will need to complete is a recorded lesson audition. Now, in the email that you receive, it'll give you a list of students' names, and then it will tell you that those individual students have IEPs. And it's going to ask you then to teach a lesson in your favorite subject area or the subject area that you applied to, or just your favorite lesson that you know you can really show off. Teach that lesson to that data set of students, because what the principals want to see is that you're able to differentiate, because we have students all over the state. We have students who are at our schools because they're super advanced. We have kids in the same class who have difficulty reading or have dysgraphia, and issues with numbers. So all those students who are in the same class, you need to show that you can teach your favorite lesson to all these different types of students. So it's a fake lesson to a fake group of students, not something recorded in your current classroom. And you will merely submit a link of that video to the HireVue. So once you receive the HireVue, the final invitation from HireVue that says, okay, you're ready to do your interview, you'll go through some basic questions like, what was the hardest time teaching you had, or why are you applying to this position? And then the very last question will be for you to put a link with that lesson audition in it. Now that link can be on YouTube or Google Drive, but make sure that it is public so that we can see it. Okay, if it's marked private, we can't see your lesson audition. And then you'll submit your HireVue. At the end of the day, our principals really just want to see you teaching. If you are applying to 5 different jobs at 5 different institutions and you want to submit your interview to us and you just don't have time to record this interview, I don't advocate this, but we really want to see you. So please give us a recording of yourself teaching if you have it. If you've made a YouTube lesson that's public on YouTube, give us that link. Okay, if you've made some other presentation of yourself teaching, please give us that link. Okay, we just want to see you, and we can't see partial interviews. So if you do all of the other questions except for that lesson, we'll never see it. Okay, we'll never see the HireVue. It'll perpetually mark as incomplete for us. So do what you got to do. Submit that lesson plan link in the last question, and then submit, right, teaching to no students, and submit your HireVue. That will then go to the hiring manager. The recruiter is not aware of how you did on that interview. So if you email and ask, how did I do? We don't know. So it goes to the hiring manager, and then the hiring manager gathers all of those interviews, which can take time, and then they watch them, and they may or may not reach out to you after that. So you may have recorded an interview, and then they discontinue the application at that point, and thank you for your time. Or they may call you. Okay, so I think that's it for the HireVue section, unless you guys can think of something else that needs to be mentioned.
I think you covered everything. Again, for those, if you were just joining or just hearing Susan, we were talking about the HireVue video. So that is the recorded, HireVue is the platform that we use for our interviews, but we have an on-demand portion, which is where you pre-record your answers for the interview. That's usually your first interview that you do. And then, so that's for corporate positions or teaching positions. So she was explaining just tips on how to complete the HireVue if you are a teacher and you're completing the lesson. So where she was saying teaching to students, that's because it was a pre-recording. So just in case anybody was like, you are teaching students, this is just the HireVue where it's pre-recorded. So I didn't want to confuse anyone. So now, after you've done your pre-recorded, we want to give you tips on the live interview. So this is, I know now with COVID, folks aren't in the office just yet, but these are tips for when you are face-to-face through Zoom right now. But Sheila was going to give us just some tips on the live interview portion. And then after that, Colleen will share with us the benefits with working at Stride.
Thank you. I think for preparing for your live interview, the first step is always just be prepared. You want to be able to have that job description where you applied and looking at not just the minimum qualifications, but also the preferred qualifications. And you want to be prepared to speak to how your skill set refers to those things, whether you've used it in a working environment or whether it was through education. You want to be able to bring a concrete example of how you've utilized that skill set, and using the STAR method is a really great way to highlight that experience. You talk about your situation, the task that you took in order to accomplish whatever goal that was needed, and then also the actions and the results. So always start with that. Also, you want to prepare and know who you're going to be interviewing. When you get your interview link, whether it's on Calendly or whether it's via email, it should tell you who you will interview with. It's a good practice to go through and look on LinkedIn or look at on our careers page or on one of our websites. If it's a school, go to the school's Facebook, look and see what the culture is and be able to have some questions in regards to that type of thing. Some other things you may want to do is really just being able to ask questions in regards to how would a success look like for someone that takes into this role and different things like that. Build a rapport with the people that you're going to be interviewing with and really understand the things that Andrea talked about earlier, which was, Stride and our different companies and how and know which division you're interviewing with, whether it's a K-12 school, is it Tech Elevator, is it Galvanize? How does that fit into the big picture of Stride? So those type of things will highlight your interview live when you're talking with your interview panel or interviewer. If you have done that research, you're going to definitely stand out because it looks like you've taken time and you're prepared yourself and you know exactly how you can be a value add to the interview process, to not just the interview process, but to that position. So just prepare.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Drea. So just to touch on, one of the positives of being a Stride employee, not only are we here to educate our students, but we're also here to educate and grow our employees. K-12 is very big on internal movement and growth within the company. So to do that, we have a lot of opportunities within the company to get you there, whether that is professional development, continuing education opportunities. We partner with Southern New Hampshire University to have different programs within the company that you can attend and get additional certification, additional education. And we also have a lot of employee resource groups as well that you can join and get a lot of knowledge from there. Just to touch on some of the benefits that we do have, we do offer a few different medical plan options. There are a few different levels that the cost is dependent upon which plan you would choose. and what coverage that plan would have. We offer dental and vision, as well as a flex spending account. Disability, parental leave, voluntary life, and AD&D insurance. We also offer a 401k with company match, as well as different PTO plan options.
Thanks so much, Colleen. So before we get into questions, I just want to show you the website when you do go to our site to apply for positions. This is basically what the page will look like on the careers page. You'll go to www.stridelearning.com/careers, and you're able to choose between either teaching and academic opportunities, corporate opportunities, or career and development opportunities. So that's the career and development will include like Galvanize, Tech Elevator, and what have you. And then our corporate positions, you will click on corporate. You're able to search by state and or title. So I know there are many states that are people that are from different states in the webinar today. So just know that any positions, if you're like, do you have positions here or you have in this state, you can go onto the website and search by state, and you'll be able to see the positions that are located there. Also, you can also follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to stay connected and to find out more about different events that we have later in the year. We also will talk about other things that are just going on in the company, so feel free to follow us. You can also join our talent community by either clicking we'll put the link in the chat box, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. All right, so we've come to the portion of the webinar where everyone can participate. I see lots of questions in the Q&A box, so thank you for putting those in. We're going to start answering those. And also, any of our recruiters, if you see a question that you want to address, you can hop on the mic. Just make sure you're reading the question first, just so everyone can hear if they're not able to find the specific question in chat. One that I did see, someone was asking about the just the day in the life of a teacher, what that looks like. Now I know, Susan, that you taught before, and I know it might have been some years ago, but if you could just share your experience of what it was like teaching at Stride, just to give them an idea of what virtual teaching looked like for you.
Sure. My day was technically 8 to 5 as a teacher, with a solid hour lunch at any time in the day that I wanted, that I could go to the gym or for a run or whatever I wanted to do. You're unlike when I taught in brick and mortar school, I was not teaching all day. I had one full class period, 1 hour, and a couple of small group classes, either advanced or remediation classes, or just like a standards focus, like this group of kids is having a hard time with this standard, and we easily track that, and I can put them into a group and meet with them that afternoon. And so that was the teaching aspect of my day. And as you can imagine, a much larger part of my day was spent grading papers, making my visual presentations, and reaching out to families and chatting with students. I'm not sure that, I don't think teachers use Skype anymore. They use an internal program as part of Neuro, I believe, but chatting with students who had questions that were just too embarrassed or whatever, or just didn't think of it in class, and just tutoring kids in that way. Something that is unique as far as teaching for K-12 is that we have all of our curriculum pre-built. And as the teacher, what you're expected to do is to tailor that to some degree for individual students that need it. And of course, we have IEPs as normal, and you can mess with what those students see in their curriculum, but you're not reinventing the wheel all year. Your curriculum set up for you, it's according to state standards, and all of the assignments and drop boxes and all that good stuff is already built for you. So I think that answers that question.
Thank you, Susan. I do see some questions. Someone was asking, can I be considered for an out-of-state position if I do not live in that state yet? They're currently in Pennsylvania, hoping to relocate this summer. They're saying that I have submitted applications with Stride for other states and check willing to relocate, but I get an email back the next day saying this school requires that their employees live in the same state as the school. We're sorry, but we cannot move forward with your application to this school because the state in your applicant profile is different than the schools. However, they said they can't move until I get a job. Do you have any advice?
That's a tough one. I would not, because you have to put yourself in the hiring manager's shoes, and your application looks tentative. It looks like you might not be able to move to that state. We're very willing to move people on to the next step in the process if they have, if they purchased a home and they've applied for certification and they have proof that they applied for certification, or they're renting an apartment, and if you see that they have not applied to positions in all of these other states, then it's clear to us, okay, they're moving to our state, let's get them into one of these jobs. They're serious about moving here. For a principal to extend a job to you and then for you to not be able to move to the state, they will have to then fire you and reopen the job, which is, nobody wants that. You have to live in the same state for most of our teaching positions. 90% of them you have to, because you have to be able to attend state testing and proctor state testing in person in that state. And so they can't have people living outside of the state.
Thank you, Susan. And we may have already expressed it. Someone, another person was asking, do you accept teachers with an Illinois state credential? If not, do you accept teachers with a credential from another state, California specifically, but is now currently and permanently living in Chicago? So this person has an Illinois state credential, but they're looking at position in another state. You have to be licensed in the state that you reside. They won't be able to accept the credential from another state.
I also see a couple of questions. People are asking if they can apply for what I'm looking at right now, a civics teacher position with the certification and their certification is in social science. So my best advice for that is it kind of depends on the state, what you're qualified to teach with certain endorsements. So I would contact your state department or look at their website, and usually they'll have a list of what courses you can teach with the endorsements that you have. That way, if you apply and you perhaps get a notice saying you're no longer being qualified, you're welcome to send us a screenshot showing us, the State Department says that with my endorsement, I can teach this class, so I am qualified for the job. And I have, had situations where a candidate has sent me information like that, and I share it with the hiring manager, or I give, go ahead and send them through to an interview because yes, they are qualified, and I didn't realize that. So do a little research on your own for stuff like that too, just so you know.
All right. Oh, someone was asking, are IT devices provided for the teachers, or is that the responsibility of the teacher? And yes, we do send you get the laptop, it's a headset, and then if I miss anything else, free. I think laptop, headset, and
I'm not sure they still send printers or not. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
They used to.
But we do provide the that devices to you.
And some schools provide an internet stipend, but not all schools. It's school provided.
Right.
I've seen quite a few about
part-time positions and substituting positions, substituting, tutoring, and part-time. If anyone has some info on that.
So I'm not seeing what the actual particular question was, but I do have a couple of tutoring positions open right now for our Learning Solutions division. And for those positions, you can live in any state and have any state's certificate. It just has to be current for the subject area that the tutoring position is listed for. Like if it's a math tutor, you need to be able, or you need to be certified to teach. It's most likely going to be a high school level math, all high school level math courses for that tutoring position. Part-time positions, if on the job post it says a specific school on the job post, you're going to have to live in that state again. But if it says Learning Solutions or Keystone, and those jobs are usually, not always, going to be posted as US virtual, then you do not have to live in the state, but you have to have the right state's certificate in the right subject area. I know it gets a little kind of confusing with the part-time positions and the requirements, but they are listed on the job post. If you go scroll down and look at the requirements, it'll tell you if you are required to live in a specific state. It will tell you what endorsement is needed. And one request, when you send an email if you've had contact with the individual recruiter and you email them, or if you are going to just email the general recruiting at k12.com inbox, please put in the subject line is best, but if it's not in the subject line, at least somewhere in your email, the position that you applied to. I get emails all the time that say, can I get an update on my application? And then I have to go and use the email to try to search the name and go that way, where it could just be a really quick answer if you would tell me in the email what job you're talking about. And when you communicate with us, use the same email that's attached to your profile. That way we can grab your email real quick and search for you using your email address rather than your name, because a lot of people out there have the exact same first and last name, especially if it's a really common name.
There was one question that said, what skill set do you look for in a school administrators? Also, is it a company policy that the administrator or teachers have to live in the state that the school resides in, especially if you are certified in that state? So that's a great question. So for administration, I think one of the things that we should define here is that here at K-12, a head of school is essentially an associate superintendent or someone who leads principals, and then an academic administrator would be a principal. So I'm going to speak more to the head of school because that's something that I recruit for. For head of school, one of the key things that we really look for is someone who has experience, a minimum of 8 years of experience leading principals, either in curriculum, training and development, coaching and mentoring. Another really big aspect is leading community development projects. Being a virtual school, you still have to have a sense of community. And so we really look at how you're interacting and involved in the community to be able to interact with the school leaders from the board level, at the school level, and also the families that you'll be interacting with. Certifications are very important. If you have a superintendent certification, you want to make sure that that's on there and listed in your profile. And then also, if it's expired or something like that, you want to make a note when you'll be able to get it reactivated or something like that. And I heard something, and Robin had mentioned this before, but there are some states that have reciprocity. And so you want to be able to also maybe add that on your resume or something, like if you're certified in this state, you can also teach in these states too. And that kind of reduces some of the questions that we have in regards to that. Because as recruiters, we don't always know what other states you're eligible to work in. So that's another thing that you want to list.
Just a little addition about the reciprocity. you actually have to have the correct state's certificate in hand. We don't accept reciprocity. It just means reciprocity generally means it'll be pretty easy for you to get the other state's certificate because they each recognize each other's certificate, but it doesn't mean that you actually are certified in that state right now. You actually have to go and apply for the certificate and get it, and then you can be considered for our teaching positions. We're a little bit more strict than your traditional brick and mortar schools when it comes to certificates. You actually need to have that certificate in hand, or they might consider you if you're well on your way to having that certificate, like you are certified in the state, you've applied, they're just waiting on your fingerprint results or something, and then you're going to get the certificate. But that I can't guarantee you'd be considered in that situation. It just kind of is going to depend on the state, maybe even what subject it is.
I have to second what Robin said, all the same things, exactly that, and it comes up all the time in email.
I also saw another question, I guess, regarding like corporate roles. What advice would be for someone who graduated from college with a marketing degree? I'm interested in working in the corporate side, but have little experience. Would an internship be a good idea, or a customer service sales job to start off?
Awesome. Yeah, I can answer that. I also used to recruit marketing. I think one of the things that you would look for is maybe some of our contract positions. I know sometimes we have social media positions. They have sometimes social media analysts and things like that. That's a good way to kind of branch off and get some experience. But an internship is also a really great avenue for you to be able to work in a corporate environment and be able to have tasks and really get a chance to understand a little bit more about that skill set. And sometimes we do have like some entry-level positions where you don't need to have a lot of experience. So I would say, yes, start with the internships, also look at our contract opportunities, and then look at the requisitions themselves and see exactly if they accept educational experience in lieu of on-the-job experience for some of those type of opportunities.
All right, another. Okay, so you answered that one. Okay, someone is asking, as a transitioning military member who is closing out a master's in school counseling, I am finding it challenging to pursue counseling opportunities in the future past the state licensure test, but is there any advice you would have for me in pursuing an opportunity with Stride? Also, have you heard of Skill Bridge, a new military transition program that allows apprenticeships, internships, etc. for the final 180 days of military service? Thank you.
So yes, we do work with military. I think one of the things that you want to do, I can't speak to the testing and getting the certification, but I do know that we do have counseling positions that will be coming available soon. And I can't speak to what the requirements are for that, but I would say check on our website to see if there's anything there that may be a good fit for you. And as far as those programs for military, yes, we are a certified military organization, and we do utilize those services to help placement of military professionals and families, service members, to get positions within the organization. And you can reach out to me if you have any additional questions. And if I don't have the answers, I'll definitely reach back out and get those answers for you.
And our school counselors also have to live in the state of the school that they're working with. So there are a few states that we don't have schools in. So that's going to be a little bit more challenging for you as a school counselor to find a job with us, unless you take a different avenue and go more towards the corporate side, which Sheila and Remnique are representing.
All right, someone was asking in regards to like assignments for students. Are assignments for students usually paper, pencil, or online?
The assignments are preset by our program, so it's a proprietary program. and we're not sending paper out to kids. The assignments themselves are online and they complete it online. That being said, we do have things like art class where kids are taking a picture of things that they created and submitting an image of course, paper or whatever they used to create their art. And I know I didn't teach math, but from what I've heard from math teachers, they would require seeing the work, which would sometimes require paper or an iPad and photographing that to upload it to our program. But in general, assignments are online and typed.
You. Another question someone asked, I believe, Ramnik, if you wanted to answer it over the microphone.
I think the question was, what can they do if they're not interested in a position? If they already applied for the role, but they decide not to pursue that, just send an email to us. You can send an email to recruiting@k12.com and just let us know that, hey, I applied to the position, but I'm no longer interested or available. And it will come to the appropriate recruiter and we will make a note of that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ramnik. All right, another question was, are there special education teaching positions available for students with LD, ED, or OHI needs in Virginia? I am certified K-12 for those areas in SPED. Thank you.
At this exact moment, I don't have a special educator position in Virginia, even though we usually have piles of them. Piles of openings for special educators. That being said, there is the Washington High School, which may require special educators. And we also have our private schools, which may require a special educator. And I do also have a position in Virginia that is for like a teacher trainer / data, like someone who's really good with data and can train teachers on using that data. And I have 6 openings for that position in Virginia. So you might want to look on our boards at BABA and apply to that position if you have lots of experience dealing with data.
And I'm looking at the very last question there, which positions are most needed to be filled by certified teachers with years of teaching experience other than a traditional classroom role at Stride? So that's a really good question. So we have a lot of positions in our schools that it's very helpful if you have been a teacher in the past and you're looking to do something a little bit different. Some really good ones are student support positions. So like people who, I guess you could say, keep their thumb on the student and make sure that they're doing their work. If they're falling behind, they're contacting the student, the learning coach, the teacher. They kind of bring everyone together as a team to try to help the students. So you have the student support advisors, and then you also have the next step up from them, which is called something different in the different schools, but like a student support administrator is going to be, that would be a really good role for someone who has previously been a teacher. The student support advisor positions, you don't have to be a certified teacher to do those, although there are a lot of certified teachers in those positions because they love helping the students in that capacity. So just kind of take a look around in your search by state, the state you live in, and take a look at all the different jobs that are posted, and you might see something that interests you. Also, take a look at the corporate positions. Take a look at the Galvanize and the med tech or med search position. There's a lot of interesting jobs on the corporate side that oftentimes teachers don't think about doing. Susan and I both used to be teachers, and now we're recruiters. So just kind of take a look around and see if anything catches your interest, and apply if it does.
Thank you, Robin. Right, we're coming up to the hour. Any final question and we'll wrap up. If we weren't able to answer your question, you can send your questions regarding like recruiting. Again, as we said earlier, anything regarding status update of your application, send an email to recruiting@k12.com, and we will be able to answer that question for you.
I did want to clarify, because I saw this in chat where the person was asking about the paper question as it pertains to kindergarteners. And I should say that I taught high school English. I have no experience with primary school in any capacity. And so I do not know exactly the amount of time that students spend working on paper, but it sounds logical that they would be. Obviously, if they're learning to write letters, my guess is they're writing on paper. And I did not take that into account when I was answering my question. Our programs are very logically made. I had no problem with the lessons as they were built for me. And my guess is that our kindergarten teachers do not either.
All right, someone had asked, is there a virtual job fair for Stride coming up in July? Well, I do know that we are attending the Women in Tech fair that is happening this afternoon. So if there are folks that are interested in the tech positions, you can speak to some of our technical recruiters at that event. Again, it's Women in Tech, and we'll actually be attending from 3 until 6 p.m. today. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely attend that as well and speak to our technical recruiters. And we can get the link to you as well. All right, again, we already reached our hour. I want to thank everyone, all of our recruiters that helped us today. I hope we gave a lot of insight, tips on interviewing, on how to apply, insight on the day-to-day of teaching. To those, if you may have joined later in the session, please know we did record this, so we will be sending this out to all registrants who registered for this event. We'll be sending that to you so you can review it. But again, thank everyone for attending, and please stay connected to us. Follow us on Careers at Stride on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter to stay connected to any other events that we have going on. Again, my name is Andrea Wilson, and I thank you all for attending, and we will see you at the next event. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.